So today I'm going to share with you guys 7 things I wish I knew before I started barbering. In the 7 years I've been doing it, I've learned a lot, trial and error. And there's certain things that if I would have known sooner, or if someone would have told me, it would have actually saved me a lot of time and money and clientele. Tip number 1, understanding different hair types. There's people that are going to walk in sometimes with different hair types that you're not used to cutting, and if you're not a versatile barber, it will end up costing you clientele, and it will make you churn away clients sometimes and lose money. Like, for example, in the first barber shop I used to work at, I had this barber who was working there, and he mainly only had black clientele, so that's the only hair type he'd be cutting. So this one time, this Asian guy came in and he wanted a haircut by him. This guy had like a real hard time cutting the guy's hair. If you ever cut Asian hair, you know that it does have a tendency to stick up. Certain areas, if you cut it too short, if you go too high, it's going to be stubborn, it's not going to lay down. And also you can see a lot of your mistakes a lot easier that way too, because if one part's uneven, when the person's looking straight in the mirror, you can see it sticking straight out. So the solution with that would be to educate yourself on different hair types regularly. Watch YouTube videos. Whenever you do see someone come into the barbershop and you think that their haircut will be a bit of a challenge, take them anyways. Step out of your comfort zone, because those are the moments where you're going to learn the most. Okay, so tip number 2 is time management skills. This is really important for, people who are appointment based, or if you just want to make more money as a barber. If you're not on time with your appointments, if you're not finishing your appointments at the time that you've set them at, basically it's going to cause a ripple effect throughout your whole day. So if you were late 15 minutes for this guy's appointment, that's going to carry on to the next and to the next one, unless you make up for it by rushing one of the haircuts to make up for it. And that's obviously not a good look for the business. And I've actually seen people, lose clientele over this. I've had people come to me from another barber telling me that they walk into the barbershop and they show up on time for their appointment and they had to wait 15-20 minutes just to get in, even though they booked a specific time. Even though I'm a barber, sometimes I will go to different barbershops just for fun, but it's even happened to me before where I walk into a barbershop and you booked an appointment and you have plans that day and you walk in and you end up having to wait 20-30 minutes, even though you reserved a specific time. So the solution for that would be to stay focused on the haircut and not get too carried away in conversations. That was one of my biggest issues when I first started cutting hair, is I would get way too carried away conversating with clients, and before I knew it, I'm going overtime on the appointment time. And so I would say just being more focused on the haircut. And also another thing that also helps is keeping a watch on your wrist. I know that sounds pretty simple and straightforward, but you'd be surprised, just being mindful of the time while you're cutting hair could make a huge difference too. Okay, so tip number 3 is stay a student. Doing it as long as I've been doing it for 7 years, it's very easy to, plateau in your skills. There's been many times in the last 7 years where I kind of stopped learning and I kind of stopped educating myself on different techniques and learning more, because, you kind of hit a point where you think you know enough and you just get comfortable. And the downside to this is, when you stop growing like that, your job starts to feel repetitive. And to tell you the truth, I started to kind of lose the passion in my job because I stopped growing, basically. So the solution to that would be to just always tell yourself that you don't know everything, that there's always ways to improve. If you work in a barbershop environments with other barbers, that's like a really good way to just, to ask them, what's working for them. Ask them for tips, watch what they're doing different, and watching YouTube videos too. I know for me, so if for example you're not working in a barbershop environment like me, if you're working by yourself, watching YouTube videos, that's a big one. So I'll still watch YouTube videos. Tip number 4 is market yourself. There's a lot of barbers in the city, there's a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of good ones that people don't know of because they don't have good enough marketing behind it. And I know a lot of barbers that are not that good, but they're very busy because they have such good marketing behind their business. So what I advise for a lot of young barbers is, when you're starting out, first thing you want to do is create an Instagram page and regularly post your haircuts on there, create reels, create engaging content. That's going to help your Instagram account grow more and just kind of raise your status in the barbering industry. If people do see more people going to a certain barber, more people will come to that barber. It's weird. Everybody wants to hang out with the cool guy. Everybody wants to go to the barbershop that's busy, that everybody else is going to. So if you're able to market yourself online, and present yourself, market yourself as a busy barber, you will end up getting busier too that way. Tip number 5 is being professional. The one thing for me that cost me a lot of clientele was not being professional during the haircuts. So what do I mean by not being professional? Basically making certain jokes or sharing certain strong opinions with people that you haven't actually gotten to know at a personal level yet. When I got into barbering, I was 17 years old. I was really young. So in the last 7 years, I've matured quite a bit. But in the process of 17, 18, 19, all the phases that I was going through in my life, I didn't give a shit about vocalizing all that. I was very open about all of it, and I was very, and I still am this way, that like my brand is all about being authentic. So that meaning just speaking my mind, but in the process of speaking your mind, you will offend people, and you can do that if you want to, but if you want to retain clientele, if you want to make money, the best way to go is to keep it a little bit professional, at least in the beginning. I'm not saying like you have to be all surface level and just talk about the weather all the time, but just being able to do it, once you actually get that relationship established with the client, once you get familiar with them. Don't get too comfortable as a barber. With us barbers, just like any kind of relationship, even if you look at like a romantic relationship, guy and a girl get together in the beginning, honeymoon phase, they show the best versions of themselves to each other, and then some months go by and all of a sudden they're not putting in the same effort anymore and they're not trying anymore. And that's the same thing happens in business relationships too, I find. If you're the type to get too comfortable is with barbers, in the beginning we want to retain this person as a client, so we're gonna go, we're gonna try hard with the haircuts, but over time, this person, we've kind of gained their loyalty, and little by little over time we stop paying attention, we kind of get lazy, maybe we get too caught up in the conversation, and we just kind of start slacking a little bit. And eventually some people might not leave you, some people might stick around, but some people may kind of be on that edge where eventually they will just kind of move on to somebody else. Okay, last and final point, stay updated on the latest trends. This is something that for me, I kind of have a hard time doing. I'm feeling like I'm starting to become an old man now. I'm about to turn 25 in like less than a month here. And every barber knows every single year new trends come out with haircuts. This year we had the mullet fades, we had the blowout fades. So these were kind of the top haircuts of this year. But I would say every single year to 2 years, you're gonna see a new wave come and new haircuts come. And this is usually when the younger barbers take the clientele from the older barbers, especially the older barbers who aren't willing to adapt and learn and stay up to date. So that was about it, guys. That was my 7 tips that I wish I knew before I started cutting hair. I hope you learned something from this video. If you guys want more videos like this, if you guys want different topics, I have a lot of experience in the industry, so there's a lot of different topics I could touch on for you guys. And whatever topic you guys want me to talk about next, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a video on that.